title of my sermon this morning is Here Am I. Here am I is not quite the same, that's the way it is in most translations, not quite the same as here I am.
Right. That's right, yes.
Here I am indicates that I'm in control and I know what's going on and I've got my agenda and you better listen up.
That's right.
But here am I is a response of humility. 1 Samuel chapter 3. Beginning with verse 4. The Lord called Samuel, and he answered, Here am I. And he ran unto Eli and said, Here am I, for thou callest me. And he said, I called not, lie down again. And he went and lay down. And the Lord called yet again, Samuel. And Samuel arose and went to Eli and said, Here am I, for thou didst call me. And he answered, I called not, my son, lie down again. Now Samuel did not yet know the Lord, neither was the word of the Lord yet revealed unto him. And the Lord called Samuel again the third time, and he rose and went to Eli and said, Here am I, for thou didst call me. And Eli perceived that the Lord had called the child. Therefore Eli said unto Samuel, Go lie down, and it shall be, if he call thee, that thou shalt say, Speak, Lord, for thy servant heareth. So Samuel went and lay down in his place. And the Lord came and stood and called as it was at other times, Samuel, Samuel. Then Samuel answered, Speak, for thy servant heareth. Isaiah chapter 6, verses 1 through 9. I have been reading out of the King James. I'm going to read this one out of the NIV, if that's okay. In the year that King Uzziah died, I saw the Lord high and exalted, seated on a throne, and the train of his robe filled the temple. And above him were seraphim, each with 6 wings. With 2 wings they covered their faces, with 2 they covered their feet, and with 2 they were flying. And they were calling to one another, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord Almighty. The whole earth is full of his glory. At the sound of their voices, the doorposts and threshold shook, and the temple was filled with smoke. Woe is me, I cried. I am ruined, for I am a man of unclean lips, and I live among a people of unclean lips, and my eyes have seen the King, the Lord Almighty. Then one of the seraphim flew to me with a live coal in his hand, which he had taken with tongs from the altar. With it he touched my mouth and said, See, this has touched your lips. Your guilt is taken away and your sin atoned for. Then I heard the voice of the Lord say, Whom shall I send? And who will go for us? And I said, Here am I, send me. And he said, Go and tell this people, be ever hearing but never understanding, be ever seeing but never perceiving. Make the heart of this people calloused, make their ears dull and close their eyes, otherwise they might see with their eyes, hear with their ears, understand with their hearts, and turn and be healed. The implication of this passage for you and I is that when we stand before the Lord and we say, Here am I, are we prepared go and do and be and say what he wants us to be. God could say, "Who are you?" And rightly so. There is nothing that I can bring. I'm not handsome enough, for sure. I'm not young enough anymore. I don't speak very eloquently. I don't sing so good anymore. I don't play the guitar good anymore. I don't do this and that very good anymore. It's not about who you are. It's not about what you can do. It's not about your talents or your abilities. It's about your availability. When God calls and we say, "Here am I," we need to be prepared to listen and obey. Of the thousands of people that Jesus preached to, there were only a handful that were still with him when he was crucified. And even one of them betrayed him. And one of them denied him. It's not the message or the messenger. It's being faithful to the one who has called you. When you say, "Here am I."